So I'm still sitting here, otherwise I would have taken off.
Elaine Jones with the honor of marking the men's gold
being
medal
the marker
game
today,
here.
so I guess welcome everybody to the streaming of the men's singles gold medal game here at Norwood Lawn Bowling Club in sunny Winnipeg today. It's sunny, about 25 degrees, wind at around, I'm going to say, 30 kilometres an hour, gusting a little more perhaps, so it's been particularly breezy this week. Joined in the central commentary position with former gold medalist and about to lose his title as after being knocked out this morning in a very good game from John Bjornson, who's in the final, Pat Bird, and also our chief statistician, Jake Shipnick, to the right of my position here at the central commentary position. The gold medal game is between two Winnipeg athletes. John Bjornson, who has won this title before, up against Jerome Kirby, who's in his first final here in singles. It's a very breezy day, as it has been all week.
Yeah, we're ready to go. We're already going.
The game is, they've finished their trial bowls. They're all set up, ready to rock and roll. And if we get our first expert comments from Pat Bird. Pat, who do you like in this game, or what do you see happening in this game?
Thanks, Derek. Yeah, well, we're on the feature rink 1 here at Norwood. This is the rink I believe the gold medal game was on 2 years ago when it was hosted here, and that was John Bjornson winning that game over local clubmate Leo Dublasson. I think, but Jerome, of course, will be very familiar with these greens as well. I'm looking forward to a really good game. If you look at how they played their semi-final games, John was perhaps playing a little bit shorter length than Jerome, so I think we'll see Jerome throwing a little bit further, John throwing a little bit shorter, and a lot of tight heads, I imagine.
Absolutely, Pat. I think I agree. It's Jerome Kirby with the first jack. He does roll. He's got the man up a little bit, so it's probably just a touch over 3/4 length. Jerome, who uses size 7 bowls, everyone back there at home, size 7 bowls.
They haven't made these for a while.
No, and they certainly in these windy conditions haven't been too bad. First bowl from him is probably 2 metres through and a touch narrow. He won't be all be happy with that. John Bjornson with the red bowls for those at home, more traditional size 4, which is seems to be the more popular size. He finishes a couple of feet short there, but not too bad first end of the final. Both players will be a little toey, there's no doubt about that. And we'll see how this game portrays out. I'd imagine these guys have played each other in many Manitoba for provincial events over the years. In other games going on across the green is certainly we have the women's gold medal game between Mary Wright of British Columbia and Jordan Koss of Saskatchewan. In fact, a replay of last year's final where Mary won, so Mary's looking to defend her title. She's already got one trip to Australia. Jordan will be hoping for a trip to Australia for the Commonwealth Games anyway next year, but would certainly love to head back to Australia again, St John's Park, in probably around November next year to play in the World Champion of Champions. Semi-finals going on is in the men, David James Smith against Kevin Dusablon in the men's semi-final. 2 young guys there. David very keen to perform well as he's a member of the Canadian development team and wants to do well. And then in the women's bronze game, way over the other side of the green is Jan Robinson from Alberta against Marie Taylor of British Columbia. So no doubt our technical assistant and statistician Jake will keep us up to date with scores on going over there, because we can't actually see our scoreboard from this position. So first end of the men's gold game, Jerome with his 4th bowl needs to get one a little closer, and he has drawn the shot. So 1 shot to Jerome Kirby at this stage. John Bjornson's got second, third and fourth, I think, as it stands. He's currently studying the head with one bowl to come. And I found that, throughout the week, Jerome seemed, with the 4 bowls, might have 3, not too flash ones, but certainly use that 4th bowl to get close. And the size 7 bowls, Pat, when they're close, you've almost got to think about playing a different shot if you're looking to bump it out of the way, because of those big size 7 bowls are tough to move out of the way. You've got to play with more weight sometimes.
For sure, yeah. I mean, back in that day, they don't make the bowls back then if it's as dense a material as they do now. But they certainly look intimidating. The head John's pretty close here with the backhand draw.
And he may have just snuck that in for shot, as you'd expect an experienced man who's played singles, a former singles champion, and has played singles in Australia because of winning that title a couple of years ago. Certainly the expert commentary in the central commentary position, Pat Bird, at the moment will be playing at St John's Park in Sydney, New South Wales, Australia, in the World Champion of Champions, representing Canada in, is that early November, Pat?
Yeah, it starts, I think it's October 30th. Runs to November 5th, I believe. Haven't seen the draw for it yet or anything like that, but St. John's Park, really big club, great greens, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, it should be a very challenging tournament, of course, and we always like to see Canadians do well, and certainly one from Alberta, which helps us promote the game. We'd rather see Derek Dillon going back to his hometown to play in that tournament, quite frankly, but we all
But you gave it your best shot this week.
Well, certainly. I was, happy enough, certainly, to get to the final 8. Run out of puff this morning. In fact, beaten by Jerome Kirby, who's in the final.
And I was beaten by John, who's in the final.
That's right. So that's why we end up, folks at home, in the central commentary position, because we're not in the final. So John's just finished a little short, obviously, that last bowl. So Jerome with the first end. Collecting one shot there on the first end. Jerome with the mat back and rolling at, this is pretty well full length, this one, a fraction short of, it's run on a bit. So this is full length, no doubt. Jerome tends to bowl full length ends more often than not, or he likes the mat back anyway, and will adjust his jack length from there. When I played him, he did play a lot of jacks short, but still had the mat back. First bowl from Jerome on the forehand, heading towards the Dakota club end, and he's just probably a metre through there. Not a bad start.
Yeah, I'm sure the folks at home can see the flags, but if not, so in the even ends, the wind is gusting from the players right to left, and of course in the odd ends the other way around. It'll be interesting to see which hand the players find most favourable as the first few ends go on here.
So what's it like, Pat, if you tell the viewers at home that, some of the young kids listening in, no doubt, and certainly back there in Calgary, we're waiting for our commentary. What's it, it must be certainly a proud moment to win a national singles title. Not everyone can win a national singles title, and you win that, you obviously, very proud of that, and you know that you go to Australia to play in, something like, 15 months' time after you win the title. Is it on your mind for 15 months, and how do you look to prepare yourself?
Oh, I can't speak for anyone else, but for myself,
I'm only asking you, Pat, by the way.
Yeah, that's true. I suppose how you prepare over that 15 months, everyone would be different, but I've had the good fortune to spend some time in New Zealand on pretty quick surfaces, and I've been over to the last 2 Australian Opens, so I've trying to find a good method for playing singles as well as the team events on the faster, and very true surfaces that they have down there. And my last trip to the Aussie Open, I think I learned a few things from that, and that I think I can build on come this October.
It's certainly got to be tough. We're probably looking at I don't know, I'm going to say 12-second greens really on average probably this week. You know, perhaps a touch better depending on the wind this week, but certainly at Norwood rather than Dakota. But it must be tough for players that, you know, aren't playing overseas and have the opportunity to play internationally on fast greens. That, you know, how does a player prepare, like, from going from Winnipeg in September of 2017 to play on 12-second greens, playing on, let's say 16-second greens at St John's Park in New South Wales in November of 2018.
Yeah, I mean, some people are lucky to have a faster surface, like just across the way here, about 100 yards from here, is an artificial rink at the Dakota Lawn Bowl Centre that certainly the national team players like Shirley Fitzpatrick Long use to great advantage to practice their game on faster surfaces. We've got a very nice green in Calgary, as you know, at Calgary Lawn Bowling Club. That green can run, you know, up in the 15-second area. You know, the big thing is if you don't have access to a facility like that, what do you do? And I've talked to a number of coaches. I mean, it's a big question for Canada to prepare themselves to go down to the Southern Hemisphere to play. And certainly, you know, practicing shorter links and being very specific with your training, you know, because on a 12-second green, 2 feet on a 12-second green is you know, like 10 feet on a 17-second green. So
yep,
be very specific with your training and just groove that delivery so that you're hitting the line every time and making good weight adjustments, very subtle weight adjustments.
Jerome down on the backhand here, looking to draw the shot. It looks as if John Bjornson has at least one shot at the moment. He's having a bit of a finger measure to see if he may have a couple, but he certainly has the one shot on this second end. He has another bowl, his fourth bowl to come. Bowling towards the Dakota Lawn Bowling Club end. Wind coming straight across the players, so the heading this way, it's narrower probably on the backhand and somewhat wider on the forehand with wind assistance. Players will take a few ends to get into the game, get some nerves out of the system, start to loosen up. This is you know, their third game for the day. Certainly I don't think necessarily fatigue is a real factor at this stage, but it's a lot of bowls. John a bit heavy on that one, and certainly has one shot, we'll see. And Jerome Kirby's just holding up his hand, so one shot. So after two ends, Kirby won, Bjornson won. As we'd expect, that this game will continue to be a tight one. So Pat, you're an international player and of course former Canadian national team squad member. Played internationally all over the world. What's so next on your agenda is heading to New Zealand for bowls, and what are you playing down there?
Yeah, there's a few tournaments in Dunedin and New Zealand National Open right after Christmas. So got a few things lined up. Looking forward to that.
So you're playing a few things in that there, and in preparation for shooting across to short flight to Sydney from Auckland.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's right. There'll be I think the Dunedin Centre Mixed Pairs is on in mid-October. I'll be over just in time for that, and that should be fun. And then probably head over to Sydney about a week after that.
So for all you kids at home listening into this live broadcast, if you look at the career of Pat Bird, which is something that many people could mirror, certainly look to get a job in the public sector, folks, because by golly, there seems to be a little more flexibility than the private sector. There's no doubt about that one.
You definitely need an understanding employer to be a international bowler, that's for sure. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yes.
The wind's just picked up a bit here. Jake was just holding our commentary tent down a second ago.
There's all sorts of things going on here currently.
Our man on the camera up there is not looking too worried, though.
No, he's solid as a rock on the scaffolding there.
I got a thumbs up from him.
Mind you, if the scaffolding comes down, we're in a little bit of trouble here in the central commentary position, Patrick.
He's almost right above us, yeah.
Jerome on the forehand had some weight, and luckily enough hit his first short bowl up for shot, and is currently sitting one, as I'm getting attacked by a wasp here at the minute. But it's not easy being a commentator under these conditions.
But you'll make do for the benefit of the listening audience.
I'll battle on for the audience, Pat, as we do. John's third bowl, he played on the backhand, was a bit, 4 feet short. Jerome is holding one, and the marker, Elaine, has just said it's a measure for 2. Jerome looking to play the backhand. Following this bowl up. A lot of the time when the bowler is following a bowl, he quite likes it.
Just missed.
Fraction heavy, so I don't know that that's going to be in the count at this stage, but it finished behind there in not a bad position.
See, in the third end of the ladies' gold medal game, Mary Wright's got 3 bowls pretty much within mat width. 1 bowl from each player yet to come. Yeah,
we'll give you an update on the score. Our technical expert, Jake, is currently getting scores for us. So we'll be able to broadcast those to people at home. Sunny conditions. Anyone around Winnipeg that is listening to the stream, get out of your lounge chair, turn the football off, and come on down to watch some good lawn bowls down here at Norwood Lawn Bowling Club in sunny Winnipeg. It's a little breezy, so if you're wearing a hat, make sure it's tight around your head, because it will blow a bit there today for sure. John Bjornson with his final bowl just misses the jack, a little heavy, fraction narrow.
John's hat did just blow off, actually.
Yeah, so John won't be that happy with that bowl probably, really, and he's certainly 1 shot down. So currently a quick update on the other greens, other rinks. The gold medal ladies game current after 2 ends is 1-1. Mary Wright versus Jordan Koss, 1-1. In the men's bronze medal game, Kevin Dusablon against David James Smith, he is 2-1 up after 3 ends. And in the ladies' bronze medal game, Marie Taylor is up 2-1 after 3 ends against Jen Robinson. So all the games very close at this stage. Back on the men's gold medal, Jerome just drew another one and has 2 shots and measuring for 3. So Jerome Kirby takes the lead in this game. In the men's gold medal game and final here at the Canadian National Singles Lawn Bowling Tournament. It's been a good week here, Pat. We arrived Sunday, of course. Went to the baseball to see the Golden Eyes lose.
Yeah.
But Monday practice day was interesting with the wind and the rain and the hail and the thunder and lightning.
Yeah,
not ideal for a practice. Was pretty well useless for Monday.
We got here and the wind was howling out of the north.
Yes.
And then for the middle few days of the tournament, it was pretty calm. And now the wind's screaming out of the south.
Picked up again, yeah. I know Tuesday the wind was howling, and I was over on the synthetic surface there at Dakota, and I don't know if fun is the right word to describe the games over there on that day, but certainly interesting. Jerome Kirby's first bowl, he won't be happy with that. That's probably a couple of metres too long.
Yep, they're both playing the forehand.
They're playing the forehand.
Here.
Assuming it appears to be the Appears to be the wider hand with maybe the green and the assistance of the breeze. Just gives it that bit more finish for the talented players who like some finish on their bowls and to travel a bit further. Is certainly what the players are more suited with. Jerome's now changed to the backhand. His size 7 bowls don't get affected as much by the breeze. He's a bit heavy again, but in fact he may be shot. It's a little hard to tell from our central commentary position.
Yeah. Just like that, our marker for this men's gold medal game is Elaine Jones, multi-time Canadian champion. And skipping for years, I imagine her eye is very good.
Yeah, John Bjornson just drawing the shot on the backhand and is certainly holding 1, if not 2 at this stage. Jerome's back on the backhand again. May have a little bit too much weight on this bowl running through, so he won't be too pleased with that. So I think John might be holding 2 on this end. So I guess coming up in bowls, Pat, I guess there's the national senior team and national development team are having a training camp at the Pacific Indoor in Vancouver at the end of September. I guess the team will be selected or announced in November for those going to the Commonwealth Games at Broadbeach on the Gold Coast in Australia. Commonwealth Games commencing there about April 4th, I believe, in Australia, and we have the National Indoor Singles Championship at Pacific Indoor in Vancouver first week of November.
Yeah, the Canadian team really had a great showing at the Multi-Nations in Broadbeach, basically the test event, same venue as the Commonwealth Games next April. The ladies' force team got a bronze medal, which was an awesome showing. Australia actually had 2 teams out of that 8-team field, and they placed first and second, Canada getting third. And then on the men's force side, very good finish as well. I believe both teams got the results that they needed to get full funding, Jake, from Commonwealth Games Committee. So that was an awesome result when it was most certainly needed.
Well, that's right, and you got to figure pretty tough to be there. I was actually lucky enough to be there and watch the tournament, not the whole tournament, but a few days. And gives a chance for players. It was the first time really as a newly announced national team to play together. I think the national team for the next couple of years was announced, I think, February or March, something like that, this year. So went down to the tournament that our expert commentator Pat Bird just mentioned. I was there, and certainly some good bowls, perfect conditions by golly at Broadbeach on the Gold Coast there, and certainly experience for Canadian players going down there. Really they come out of the winter. They have some early bowls in May and April, perhaps end of April and May in Canada, before going down to the Gold Coast and even borrowing different bowls for the faster conditions. So certainly not easy for a Canadian player to come out of the winter and head to the Gold Coast and play in a tournament like that. But a tournament like that, if as a competitor and as an athlete, if that doesn't get your juices flowing and certainly get you motivated to perform well and enhance your skills, then nothing will, Pat.
Yeah, for sure. So we're 4-4 now between John and Jerome after 4 ends, and you can see the change in length here. John with the jack throwing Matt at the back jack, a medium short length, probably 4 meters over the minimum.
Yeah, John on the forehand here, leading now more so than the backhand, and just sneaks past the jack. So Jerome's first bowl is still holding shot. Jerome on the backhand at this stage, and Certainly Jerome, a player that asks a lot of questions of a marker. He wants to know what's going on from the first couple of bowls. The big size 7's coming down on the forehand with the breeze, helping with the draw. His weight looked pretty good here, just sneaks through, and probably third shot as that stands. John persisting with the forehand here. He's had 2 on the forehand. This is his third bowl. He would probably dearly love to trail the jack here a little bit. Just outside the ball.
He needs a ball in the head. Jerome will have an opportunity.
And unfortunately, John a bit short with that one. Not what he wanted. And you can tell with the curl on the grey moustache, he was not happy with that one, Pat.
No, he was not.
Of course, John and I have been compared as brothers. Certainly John an elder brother of me, just because we have the same blonde hair and blonde moustache. Some people
Yours
have
is
been
a little wavier, I think.
Some people have been a little unkind this week, I'd have to say.
You had the Golden Boy hamburger at that restaurant we were at, didn't you?
No, I did not. No, that was Johnny McDonald.
Ah, that was.
Jerome has maybe 1 in, 1 out. He bumped onto the shot bowl, and John signals. He gave Jerome the finger there, but it was just to indicate 1 shot and nothing else, Pat. So 1 in and 1 out for Jerome. Just a fraction too much weight. So we have a score of, well, they're about to change, so I think it will be 5 Jerome, 4 John Bjornson after 5 ends. Pretty tight game. Tight games all over the green here at Norwood Bowls Club. Come on down, the beer is cheap, the weather's fine, the breeze will keep you cool, it's not hot. So come on down and enjoy yourselves, people, and watch the elite of the elite playing in Canada currently. Well, a lot of the elite. 2 elites are commentating currently, Pat, wouldn't you say? So not all the elites are out there.
But, I enjoy watching bowls. You know, when you're a player, you don't get to do it very often, but... and you'd obviously much rather be out there playing right now. But,
absolutely, of course, yes.
It's kind of fun. I mean, I know both these guys pretty well. I've been playing against them, and it's an event that went on for about 10 years. It's called the Tri-Province Challenge between teams from Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. Hosted at the Regina Lawn Bowls Club, beautiful 4-green facility in Regina. And their program, they've developed a lot of very good young players, including Jordan Koss, who's in the ladies' gold medal game right now, the Michael Patulli, who's on the national team, John Patulli. Saskatchewan also has other good young players. I played Carter Watson this week, and he was very good. I was very fortunate to get past him in that game, and his older brother Brandon is a good player as well. So the future of the game's going really good in Saskatchewan.
Yes, they've got a lot of good young players there, by golly. Alex Scott is a young guy too, so so he's
Grant Wiley.
Yes, I think Grant Wilkie. Yes,
Wilkie,
and yes, certainly they've got a whole bunch of guys there, and they have a lot of potential there. You look in the long term there, and by golly, the Cy English Award, which was happily won by Alberta this year at Nationals. Yeah, I'd have to say brilliantly coached by the team Alberta coach. Who was that again, Pat? Do you remember?
Derek Dillon, I believe.
Correct, Pat, and
let me
certainly.
check my notes.
We hadn't even picked the trophy up, and I'd put it on the coaching resume already. But you'd have to think in the future that Saskatchewan bowls with that bevy of guys and girls, Francis Scott, Jordan Koss on the women's side, that boy oh boy, they are going to be strong at Canadian Nationals in the future. There's absolutely no doubt about that.
I mean, that young group has already won it. They won the overall in what would that be, 2015 and 2011?
Quite possibly, yeah.
Well, it looks like
On the sixth
John
end
is
here, it's
holding
very
one.
quiet. Could be, yeah. It's a little difficult to tell from our commentary
Jerome,
position
yeah.
here. We're up the other end, but it certainly appears to be Jerome from here.
Yeah, and John with the ball maybe a foot and a half behind that.
Yeah. Shot selection here. I think Pat, a little hard to tell how wide those bowls are to the forehand side of where the jack is now, but almost Jerome maybe on the forehand side, looking to come down and just tap his bowl, perhaps roll John's bowl out one and over once and sit for two. In fact, he is on the.
Certainly another bull in the head would be a good idea.
Yes.
John's going to have an opportunity with some weight here, I would think.
Here's Jerome on the forehand. He's under and just a little narrow and slides past the jack. A little narrow, perfect weight for what I think he was looking to do. So I think John is one down. He may in fact play the same hand and just look to sit Jerome's bowl and for the shot, or a little bit of jack movement may in fact bring his other red one into consideration. Playing the backhand, Pat, so he might be looking for the jack.
Yep,
in fact,
he's coming with some weight.
So he's got a bit of weight there, looking for some draw. No, it's going to hang there and what have you, and miss that. So it would appear that Jerome Kirby will get the shot on the sixth end, which will give him a lead of 6-4 after six ends. For those at home, this singles championship is sets play, so it's 2 sets of 9 ends. If each player has won one set, then it goes to a 3-end tiebreaker. There's certainly been a whole number of those this week, but that's the conditions of play. That will all change next year with the change in how national championships are run, which I'm sure has had plenty of comment throughout the week. Jake, no doubt, our technical expert here, who's one of the main protagonists within BCB. An update on scores on the other rinks. The gold medal game in the ladies match. Mary is up 4-3 over Jordan Koss. David James Smith is leading 6-5 over Kevin Dusablon. And Marie Taylor is tied with Jan Robinson 3-3. So as we can see, and even in the men's gold game at 6-4, so as we can see, the creme de la creme are fighting it out, and it's very tight, and there's not exactly 3s and 4s being given up across the park here currently, Pat.
No, very close games, and I think that would be to be expected with this being the 4 guys out there and the 4 ladies that have run the best over the weekend.
There's certainly a big crowd accumulated here at Norwood Bowls Club. Certainly there is atmosphere galore under the awning of the Norwood Bowls Club, watching these 2 gold and 2 bronze medal games going on. So there's excitement plus down here, people to come on down as John Bjornson draws a beauty on the 7th end, and that's what he's known for. Certainly excellent first 2-bowl bowler. Any team in the country would like to have him as a lead.
Absolutely.
Apart from Greg Wilson, who's got a good lead anyway. We don't want to over-promote him at this stage in case Greg Wilson gets any ideas on replacing his current lead.
Maybe Greg can send us a text or something to respond to that.
Yes, well, yes. Yes, he is time off in Calgary at the moment, I know, before heading back out the bush and doing his survey work.
Another great draw by John Bjornson. He's lying 2 now. He's starting to seen a lot of this week where people, the first maybe 5-6 ends, people are just feeling out the rink, and then right about this time near the end of the first set, they really hone in, and we've seen 4 good bowls.
Exactly.
Until
and
that last one right there.
That's
But
right, not like that one. Yeah, poor old Jerome, he actually put a wrong bias one down when I played him this morning, and he's just done it again. And whether it's just the tension and the pressure of the game and the big occasion, but he certainly put a wrong bias down as John Bjornson just drives another bullet into the head, and he's sitting with 3 currently. Jerome under pressure here with his last bowl. He certainly be looking to not dead draw this, but certainly probably enough weight, Pat, that he just gets into the pocket there almost and sits in the pocket.
Yeah. Jerome is a very good pressure player. He makes the 4th ball a lot. That's why he's been a very successful skip here in Manitoba, and he's drawn very close there. It's he's probably shot. It's close.
So do you think that John's going to be driving that ball out, trying, or just trailing it back into that pocket?
Well, I don't think he can drive because Jerome's got the back, probably 2. Plus, he is playing some very precise shots. I mean, if you could just roll that ball over twice on the backhand, John could make 4 shots.
Mm-hmm.
He could also trail the jack about 4 inches. He'll make 4 shots. So, and that's very similar to the shot he's been playing. Other than he's likely going to have to change. Yeah, I mean, if he can, he's been throwing these balls in there on the forehand. We'll see if he believes that shot's there on the forehand or not. But I think he'll be looking for one of those 2 plays.
Yeah, the issue with that, though, is that he's going to have to be very, very precise, as you mentioned, with Jerome having the 2 best back, that if he's any aggressive at all, then he'll be down a few. So I believe Jerome actually drew that off with his last ball, which is quite the adjustment from his 3rd to his 4th. And John is not far away, just missed.
Just missed it. Just missed. Well, that was a huge 4th ball from Jerome there.
Oh, was it ever. That was quite the game-changing moment there. If not for that, John was lying 3, and that would be a whole different game, as opposed to right now, it's 7-4 for Jerome, assuming that he was actually lying 1 there, yeah.
Jerome's very solid mentally, and after throwing a wrong bias in that situation and facing 3 and the probability of a 4th one going in there to get on the mat and draw a shot there was magnificent.
Now they only have 2 ends to go here, and it's a 3-point game, so I would expect that John's going to have to really crunch down here and try to count this end here for sure. Are you looking for multiples at this point, or are you still okay with just getting a 1?
No, one is fine. I mean, he's got 2 ends to make 3 shots. Probably the key is you have to be determined to count this end. So if what you will see here is if when you feel your back's against the wall and you have to at least count the end. If the other person gets an early bowl close, like a resting toucher, then you're probably playing through it with a little bit of weight right off the bat, trying to get to the dot, keep your bowls in play, and if that shot's not there, then you just got to rip that bowl off of there. Because if Jerome scores this end, he'll be 4 up with 1 to go, and that's it's unlikely to tie the set at that point.
Neither of these guys are really playing with the mat a whole lot. I was actually kind of surprised in your game against John. You didn't bring the mat up to the hog line nearly as much as what I was expecting.
I actually like to play long when I can, but what I found this week is with the wind and the rinks, I was really just looking for a mat and jack position in each direction where I felt good about getting to the center line, or at least better than it looked like the other guy did. And so really that was my tactic, and actually I was pretty comfortable in that game with John. I mean, I felt like I had as good a read on the center line as he did, and he just made some fabulous shots down the stretch to win that one.
Yeah, he played lights out. I definitely know there's a lot of people watching there as that game came down to the wire. He needed 3 to force a tiebreak and got it, and then that tiebreak also came down to the wire as well. So he's had a very tough road here, as it's been pointed out before that prior to your game, I believe last night, he played against Leo Dusablon, who was the silver medalist here in 2015. So that was a rematch of the 2015 final, and then he played you, which was last year's final. So John's definitely had a tough road to try to get back here again.
For sure.
special comments from Jake, our technical expert, as the main commentator had to have an ablutions break. Kirby on the backhand, looking to rest the shot bowl of John Bjornson. Just misses it, just slides off it, in fact, and John's still with the shot. John will be somewhat disappointed after the last end, certainly dominating the end, and Jerome with his last bowl again drew shots. So
John's starting to draw close with regularity here.
yeah, starting to build. You certainly can't count him out. John was a little rough earlier in the week, but he's like a sleeping dog. You know, if you poke the dog, he'll end up biting you eventually, won't he? So I think John is building up to biting a couple of things. Couple of people obviously in the quarterfinals give you a bit of a bite there, Pat, and certainly I saw the end of it as my game finished, unfortunately, quite quickly. And there was a couple of very classy ends there near the end of the second set, and then obviously in the tiebreaker. So been lots of skills on display here during the week.
Absolutely.
Now Kirby with his last bowl, can he pull something out of the hat? No, he's under this time. John's sitting 1 and maybe 2, maybe a measure for 2. But certainly got 1. He'll be very keen at this stage, being 7-4, if he can at least get. He wants at least 2 here to give himself a good chance in the last end of the first set. It looks like very close, like he's done this, of course, by the look of it.
Brilliant balls.
Sort of snuck on, but certainly 2 and a measure from our central commentary position. We'll wait for a signal here from the officialdom as 1 goes out from Jerome, and he's only 1. Jerome's only given the 1 away, and the tape's. No, it looks as if it's only 1. So once again, 1 to John Bjornson. So he'll be a little bit disappointed he didn't get more than that. But after 8 ends in the first set, it's 7-5 in favour of Jerome Kirby as we go into the last end of the first set. Bjornson needing 2 to tie the set. Certainly, if you tie a set at home in the first set, the winner of the second set wins the match. As I was lucky enough to do last night in a sensational game against Michael Leong, Pat, that had the crowd on the edge of their seats.
I saw the end of that one.
We were certainly we tied the first set, and then we were 6-all after 6 ends, I think it was, in the second set. So there were some fantastic bowls, and the best game of probably the highlight of the week. I don't want to brag too much, but certainly it was the night game, finishing under lights and what have you.
You had to make a big draw at full length.
Close to full length. Well, everyone knows to play Dylan full length, don't they, Pat? So someone's been sending that out on an email, I think, because as soon as they get the jack against me, it's everyone goes full length. So I think it's common knowledge around here.
I have not been spreading any rumours, I assure you.
Well, of course, there was a little bit of controversy yesterday after the round robin and when the rankings came out. And I was, in fact, originally ranked, I think, number 8, I think, to play number 9, John Bjornson, and before a fan of bowls and someone who was keeping an eye on the statistics sent a message through to you, Pat, of course, and we know who that is, but to say that they'd got the rankings wrong.
Got everything fixed up, and you were promoted.
There we go. I was promoted to ranking of 7 instead of 8, which instead of playing John Bjornson, who happens to be in the final, to playing Michael Leong. So John's probably lucky to be here. He was able to dodge me, Pat, and so. Although I do have him in the Calcutta, so I'm hoping to win a few dollars here if he wins this match, and I'll win a few. I'll be able to take a few dollars back to me, back to Calgary tonight.
Well, Well, Jerome has drawn shot there. Looks like he's about 2 feet in front of the jack, but going to make it a little tougher for John to get the 2 that he requires here.
Yeah, a little heavy with his first 2 bowls, John. He won't be happy with, and I think he might have over-adjusted here, and now he's short. So I'm not sure. It's going to be a tough scenario to get 2 for John in this first set. But there's a long way to go in this game yet. That's for sure. And John is like a pit bull on a poodle. He never lets go once he's grabbed hold of you, and he will keep fighting until the very end of the game. That's for sure.
John will have some sort of chance because he's got second shot, and I believe he has best back ball as well.
Yeah. Always easier if you can actually see the jack from the other end. I'm not sure if you can. Jerome is looking for that to finish on the line if he can, I think, although I think he's just a little overexcited there at the moment, that's all. So John with a bowl, 1 more bowl to come, needs 2 to tie the set. Otherwise we go into the second set with the next end. The breeze is still blowing here, certainly no let up on the wind. I believe we're in the Red River Valley. I'll go to my technical expert looking for advice, and well, no, he's going to pull out the phone, and you can't Google it when you're on live TV, Jake, for God's sake, man. So I believe some local told me it's like the Red River Valley here, and it's always windy. So
we are slightly east of the Assiniboine River, that I know. We had to cross it to come to the club from our hotel.
Well, thank you, Pat, for that wonderful bit of information. By golly.
Well, I'm trying to save Jake from looking it up on his phone.
I'd like to apologise for our expert commentary, Pat Bird. He is an accountant after all, so we can't expect too much in regard to colour at this stage. So, Pat, international bowls coming up here. Obviously, Commonwealth Games in the first part of April on the Gold Coast in Australia. What in fact comes up after that in regard to Canadian national team bowlers? Is it North American Challenge in the US later on next year?
Yeah, that's right. Canada plays we got John on the mat for his last ball. See if he can turn this over to 2. Looks like he's playing the forehand to trail the jack about a foot.
Yes, he's short of that weight.
Come up short.
He may have drawn a shot, but that's not enough.
No, Canada plays so that'll be the first set to Jerome Kirby.
Yeah.
Canada plays a match every other year with the U.S. national team. It's called the North American Challenge. It was set up, I believe, back in the 1990s, and great event. It alternates hosting between Canada and the United States. Last hosting was at the Pacific Indoor Bowls Club in Vancouver, a beautiful indoor facility just south of downtown Vancouver, and that was last year. So next year it's the U.S. turns to host. I'm not exactly sure what the venue is, but they've played that in...
I might have heard it, Sarasota.
Sarasota, Florida, is that right?
I think I heard that, but...
yeah, I've played that in Milwaukee, and as well as Phoenix. So they're tremendous hosts, and we each like to outdo each other. It's a serious competition, but we're always friends at the end of it, and you do see the Canadian and U.S. Players because they get to know one another from that, supporting one another on the international stage.
Okay, so so that's later on next. So Commonwealth Games and North American Challenge next year. That covers 2018, 2019. Well, that should be what, Asia Pacifics again?
Yeah, that's right. The Asia Pacifics is held 1 year before World Bowls Championships.
Yep.
They also have the World's broken into 2 major qualifying events for World Bowls. So we're in the Asia Pacific group. The other group is the Atlantic Championships, and so I believe there's 10 countries from each of those 2 tournaments qualify by event to go into the World Bowls Championships. So that's always held the year before Worlds. So Worlds would be in 2020. So yeah, Asia Pacifics would be in 2019.
Yeah, Asia Pacific's I think on the Gold Coast in Australia, and then World Championships in 2020 will be Gold Coast in Australia as well.
That's
So
right.
I guess if you're a bowls fan or certainly an elite bowler, the Gold Coast is the place to be. Obviously, Canada's #1 bowler, Ryan Bester, is bowls coordinator and plays and lives in Broadbeach on the Gold Coast, which is not a bad piece of paradise in the world, I'd have to say. And
It's
for a
very nice, isn't it?
Well, yes, it's mighty fine. It's mighty fine. There's no doubt about that.
So many clubs around there, amazing conditions, and
Well,
so many very like elite players in that part of the
Well,
world.
that's right. A lot of them are there. You know, a lot of international players from Scotland and all are there. There all the time playing, and you know, in high pressure competition, week in, week out. So an update from some of the other rigs. The gold medal game for the ladies. Jordan Koss is up 6-5 over Mary Wright after 8 ends at this stage. Although as I look across on the 9th end, it would appear that Mary Wright is holding 3, with each player having 1 bowl to come, or maybe 2 at least. So anyway, we'll see. We will communicate the results. David James Smith won the first set in the bronze game for men, and Kevin is Dusablon from Winnipeg, currently residing in Edmonton, Alberta, is 4-0 up in the second set. And in the bronze medal game for the ladies, Jan Robinson won the first set against Marie Taylor, and Marie is 1-0 up in the second set currently, as it all runs. And we'd like to thank our technical advisor, Jake, for providing those up-to-date results.
Jordan's on the mat right now, throwing her 4th ball.
And that's not very good by the look of it from there. So I suspect that Marie Taylor will, Mary Wright will, lots of Marys and Maries in the mind there, Pat. So we'll win this. We'll win the first set there. As we return to our gold medal game, Jerome Kirby playing the forehand, playing with a little bit of weight, and nearly comes off his bowl and gets a lucky Peter Mocky, but not on this account. Certainly John Bjornson's holding at least 1 there, if not another. Once again, people, a little difficult to tell from our central commentary position. John Bjornson with his last bowl would dearly love to get another counter in there for sure, and it certainly looks like he has. Oh no, he's a little overweight and run through.
Yeah.
I thought that was all over it, but
Unfortunate there, he just got a little more of his bowl.
Jerome Kirby just holding 1 finger up, so that's just, it appears just 1 is all that John may get on this. And yes, that is the case. So the first end of the second set, John Bjornson takes a 1-0 lead. Pat, having bowled all around the world, who's the best bowler you've ever seen?
Oh my!
And if you take me out of it in Calgary,
I can't count you.
No. So who's the best you've ever seen?
Well, I mean, you're putting me in a difficult spot here, being Canadian and all, aren't you? I have
Well,
to pick Ryan Bester.
Well, you don't have to. It's not as if he's listening in, I suspect. I'm not sure. It's early morning on the Gold Coast right now, so there might be a slight chance. But
I think dead heat between Ryan and Aaron Sheriff from Australia.
Aaron Sheriff,
I've seen them both play very well.
Yeah.
Aaron, when he plays singles, it's from what I've seen at least, he plays full length and he just grinds people down when it's to 25 or 31 shots. That's he's very good at that game.
Yeah, certainly beat Ryan in the Golden Nugget this year. Ryan has Golden Nugget singles tournament. For those in Canada, the Golden Nugget singles is an invitational event of only the elite of the elite in Australia, and Ryan Bester, in fact, has won it a couple of times. but Aaron Sheriff actually beat him in the final this year.
Yeah. And on the women's side, I believe Ellen Ryan from Australia won it this year.
Yeah,
she's been winning everything. I think she won 2 of the 3 Aussie Open events as well.
Yeah, she's won everything but the World Youth Championships this year, Pat, which happened to be won by Canada's own Priscilla Westlake. So
I'm sure she's listening in.
Priscilla, in fact, may be. It's Saturday afternoon in BC, and in fact, very may well be. Jerome Kirby just doing a dead draw resting toucher with his second bowl of this second end of the second set. We seem to be saying second a lot, Jake. John Bjornson looking to get a very nice close one here. David James Smith just running past me. Looks like an ablutions break during his second set on the bronze medal game. Mary Wright did win the first set in the women's gold medal game.
Jordan is undeterred and has 2 balls within mat length of the jack to start the first end of the second set.
Yeah, Jordan only young, but certainly has played a lot of pressure bowls in her young career to date, and certainly is not at the age of, I think, 17. Pat is not concerned or shaky on the mat given these scenarios, as she happens to dead draw another one and hold 3 over there in the women's gold medal game.
Yeah, she's a hard worker. She's out at the Regina Lawn Bowls Club practicing all the time, and it shows with what you see on the green.
Well, exactly. She has that time. Obviously, she's a Year 12 student this year, supposed to start school this week, the rotten kid, so she should be at school next week. But obviously time to practice, and being a student, I guess, is very much like having a public sector job, Pat.
Or being retired in your case, I suppose. There.
Well, yes, when you work hard in the private sector, you can retire early sometimes. But John Bjornson down 1 there on the second end. So you look at the score in the second set after 2 ends is 1-1 with the Winnipeg grudge match between John Bjornson and Jerome Kirby, both from the Winnipeg area. John, former champion, not last year but the year before, former national indoors champion from not last year but the year before.
Yes, I believe he won them both,
in the same year,
which
so,
has not been done very often.
No, I can't imagine. Not easy to do. Getting into a crucial part of the set here. Each player, and particularly John, after losing the first set, would like to assert some pressure and look to get a little break, 2 or 3 shot break if he could, over the course of the next 2 to 3 ends. What particular strategies are you thinking about at this stage, Pat? You're on the third end of the second set, and you're 1 set down. Is there anything in particular you're thinking about, mat length, or gee whiz, I can't get the line right here, or I've just got to play better and get on with it?
Yeah, I think that's it. Just looking at John played a sequence of very good draw ball ends there. Jerome just made that key draw to take 4 away from him, really, there in the 7th end. John, I think, just needs to do more of that.
Kirby again answers a good one from John with, once again, he's very close with his second bowl. Yep. So the size 7s are certainly in these blustery conditions, performing pretty well. John trying with his second bowl, but I think is going to come up a bit short. So John won't be all too pleased with that. Both athletes have played a lot of bowls to get to this stage. This is game number 10 for the week, I believe, Pat. So it's a lot of bowls for people, and when you get a little older, the legs start to game what?
Yeah.
Game 10.
Game 11. I
Game
think,
11,
actually.
is it?
Yeah,
7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You're right. So game 11. So you get the legs get weary and the joints get a little sore and the back gets a little tired at this stage. The sun's out, the wind's blowing, everything tiring. So, but it doesn't seem to be affecting Kirby at this stage. Though Bjornson's just responded with an absolute delicious bowl on the forehand to get a resting toucher, it would seem, Pat.
Yeah,
and hold shot, and Kirby will be going down to have a look at this, saying, what the hell have I got to do to keep this grey-haired man out of my face on this end? So,
yeah, Jerome had 2 bowls very close there,
close
and that was a big bowl by John, and John probably has the back bowl as well, so it'll be tricky for Jerome to attack this. He may just have to concede the one shot. That may be the best he can do.
Well, quite possibly, and as I try to tell pupils of students of the game, and any coaching I do, that listen, you lose, you're not going to win every end, but if you lose an end, drop one, and one only, if you can possibly do it that. If you only dropping ones on ends, you're generally going to win the game.
That's right. I remember hearing a good bit of advice from a gentleman in Ontario named David Burrows, and he was a very accomplished singles player when he was playing a lot, and he said to me, Pat, I may lose, but I'm going to keep you here a darn long time to do it. So, that's the same philosophy. It doesn't work quite the same way in sets play. I mean, there's a set number of ends, but when you're playing to 21 or shots or more, patience is often the best virtue you can have.
Yes, Dave Burrows. Not sure he's listening in there in Ontario. It's Saturday at about 5:30 in Ontario. I suspect David's probably slurping on a couple at this stage of the day, so he may not be listening in, but certainly he's been known for quite a few comments over a period of time, Pat. Bjornson on the forehand now would dearly love to do the exact same bowl that he just did with his third one. Holding one, I suspect, but whether there's room down there to actually, he'd have to dead draw another one, I think, to get 2. But one is better than none, so he's certainly trying hard. It's going to come up a bit short and what have you. I don't know that he would have been fully committed to that shot, as somewhat risky. Of course, Pat, you played John in the final last year in a classic contest in Vancouver. Certainly down to the last end of the tie-break. I know I was commentating, but just deliriously jumping around after your final bowl to win the title. That I forgot whether it was the last end or not of the tie-break. But
the only time I've thrown my hat in joy. When I was a golfer, I certainly threw my hat in frustration more than once.
Yeah, so certainly one of those classic contests, and
I've had a lot of good games with Jerome dating back, 6-8 years, going back to the Canadian Indoor Championships. So we always have close games, and he's such a quality guy. And he's a good friend.
Yes, but we're not concerned about that in the central commentary position, Pat. But certainly quality bowler, and both guys.
Yeah.
Been around a while, so we often see them a couple of times a year, generally at national singles and generally at national championships, wherever they may be, as they come out of Manitoba as provincial champions.
And same thing goes for Jerome. He's been skipping the fours or the pairs in Manitoba for years. Jerome probably hasn't been bowling as long as John, but he's you can see that he's certainly not letting the moment here get to him. He's really playing some great bowls, and he's full value for the lead that he's got right now. Yeah,
it does not seem to be affecting him. He's Bjornson's up 2-1 after 3, so that's very tight. And his first 2 bowls here, he's drawn 2 beauties to be 2 up after 2 bowls. Certainly the key to singles, Pat, as I'm sure you would agree, those first 2 bowls are really what it's all about. It sets up the strategy for your 3rd and 4th bowl, whether they're consolidating or attacking bowls or defensive bowls. And Jerome is once again, there you go. So Bjornson must be getting awfully frustrated that his first 2 bowls are very close. Lo and behold, Kirby with his second bowl ends up getting the shot. Once again, Bjornson with an opportunity for he'd love a little trail here, and he's just perfect weight for the little trail, but just a bit wide on this occasion. May have been held out by a gust of breeze. That's how difficult the conditions are. Kirby on the forehand now. They seem to have switched hands, these guys now. They're all playing all their bowls on the forehand all of a sudden. Jerome trying to blow that one further.
Trying to will that one into.
Trying to will that on, trying to sweep it into where the jack is. But for those at home, there are no brooms in bowls. So
Canadians like to, compare bowls to curling. Some
well,
of the terms are interchangeable, like the hog line and
they certainly do. Yeah, certainly do. They certainly tell. There's terms here that you would never hear in where I come from in Australia. When they're asking a bowl to curl, back home we do obviously ask the bowl to draw, not curl. If we're putting in something short, we call it a blocker, rather than
a guard.
Rather than a guard, as it would be referred to here. So certainly there are obviously for those listening internationally at this stage, there's a lot of lawn bowlers will play lawn bowls during the summer, and then they will play curling during the winter. So it's easy to see why the terms may be messed up a little bit, but curling is like lawn bowls on ice. So certainly it's good for people in the winter here that you cannot lawn bowl really here anywhere outside in the winter in Canada, and they will do curling and then get back into lawn bowls in the spring. So
Jerome on his 4th ball just waited on the mat there for a gust of wind to stop. Derek, you've got bowls experience in Australia. What are your tactics for? Obviously, the wind has more of an effect. The faster the greens are. What do you find are the tactics that you can use in the wind to improve your performance?
Certainly depends where the wind's coming from, Patrick. But certainly you'd always take the narrow hand. You're getting lots of draw on the fast greens anyway. So certainly if the wind, like in this case, is coming right to left as the players head towards the Dakota Bowls Club. So if you're in Australia right now, every player would be on the backhand. If the green is 16 or 17 seconds, it would quite possibly be uncontrollable on the wide hand, and you end up going so wide you've got you're heading into the other rink's heads and all kinds of things. So it can be a real issue. But certainly the narrow side, if it's coming across you, you'll still get draw. But certainly the narrow side. If it's with you and then against you, you really change. Technically, your delivery's got to change a little bit. You're taking a shorter step with the wind, shorter backswing, and you're almost, you're trying to focus on not the jack where it sits, but perhaps 10 feet shorter of that, and allow the breeze behind you to continue to blow your bowl down the fast green. Consequently, going into the wind, not much different to here in Canada. Of course, you may look 10 feet or 6 feet behind the jack, depending how strong the wind is. Obviously, on the quicker greens, you may focus on the on a jack 6 feet behind actually where the jack is, and that's where you're looking to draw to. You get a gust of wind, and you could end up roundabouts. So that's kind of over the years what I've tended to try to do. John Bjornson kicks off this fifth end with a beauty, and it is 2-all after 4 ends. We've seen this before, and Jerome Kirby with his second bowl has been particularly damaging, and here he goes again.
Brilliant bowl by Jerome.
So he's done it again. Our expert commentator's getting a little excited next to me here in the central commentary position. He probably needs to calm down a touch in this final. But Jerome has been particularly damaging with that second bowl. Here's John Bjornson with another one, and very close indeed. Maybe a fraction short. So Jerome Kirby with the shot at this stage on a crucial fifth end. So we've got 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 to go. So as our technical experts run across to the scaffolding over the other side of the green there, Patrick.
I believe our camera's blown over.
The camera's blown over in this blustery breeze. It must be gusting 40-odd kilometres an hour currently, I'd suggest. Been perfect weather, sunshine-wise, for bowls this week, Pat, and it's certainly been windy, but it's certainly, if you look at Nationals in Wandafuka a couple of weeks ago, and then National Singles here for the week, we've hardly seen a cloud in the sky, I'd have to say, in those 2 full weeks of bowls. Certainly the sun shined in Wandafuka on your team as you picked up the gold medal in the fours.
Yeah, it did. We had a good week, but yeah, like you say, the weather's been awesome, and I think in certainly all of Western Canada, other than a lot of smoke from the forest fires in some spots. Calgary, we heard there was some smoke in Victoria before we got there, but it was fine for the tournament.
Certainly had some great summer weather for bowls this year. We've hardly, I'd have to say, hardly lost a day because of
that's right.
because of rain and what have you. As far as tournament play goes, it's been a fantastic summer, certainly in Calgary, that's for sure.
So John chose to drive at that head with his third ball, and caught his own. So right now Jerome's lying one and a measure from, as indicated by our marker, Elaine Jones. Jerome's going to go down and take a look to see if he's got
this. It's regular for Jerome to go and have a look after 3 bowls for sure.
Jerome's got to be thinking about going to the back here with John showing his that he's going to get a little more aggressive, and John having the back 2 bowls right now and a bowl in hand.
The jack may be hard to get back to those back bowls of John's, but and then of course there's always the risk that if John misses what he's aiming for and gets his own, he could drop a 3 or a 4.
Yep, absolutely.
Quite possibly, depending where Jerome decides to strategically put this bowl playing on the back end. He's going.
Yeah, he's not going to the back.
He's looking to just draw.
Another.
He's just looking to get it. Just looking to get it in the mix there. It's finished short. I don't know whether it has irritation value for what John was thinking of playing or not, but John certainly needs to be careful here that if he's too aggressive, and this where a young player may particularly drive at this and take his own bowl out and he drops a 4. I think the wiser head here will probably be on the back end here, probably try to just draw it a Jerome shot bowl. If he misses it, then he's got a clear second shot. Just as I thought, he's running at it, Pat, and he has taken out that bowl that I was just talking about. So when I said the older head will probably just draw and get second shot at worst, maybe the shot, he's gone completely against what I just commentated on.
He did actually miss that shot. He would have to be a couple bowls wide to take out his own bowl, and that may have been in his mind because he actually missed that inside. But he hit the top bowl and ran it. ran it into his own ball.
Yes.
I think he might have dropped just the 2, so it actually...
Very
oh, it's a
lucky
3, actually. It's
So,
a 3,
yeah, Kirby
so it cost
goes
him
up
2.
5-2 against Bjornson, so...
Or he may have been down 2 at the time. We don't actually know. John
Yes.
didn't look at it too close.
I don't think John was happy with the way that worked out in that
No,
end. But
certainly not.
so we're getting to the business end of the second set here, as we're on end 6. Jerome Kirby up 3. So John Bjornson has end number 6, 7, 8, 9. So he's got 4 ends to get at least 3 shots back. Well, he needs really 4 shots because he can't have a tie. So he's got to win the set. So he's got 4 ends to get 4 shots, which is, with Bjornson, is obviously very doable. There's no doubt about that. Jerome Kirby, really, he's been on fire
awesome.
all week.
He is playing awesome.
So there's the lead bowl again, all over it, which puts immediate pressure on his opponent, John Bjornson, and John has come up short and narrow, won't be happy with that at all, and that's a Bjornson unlike bowl, really.
It's interesting that Jerome introduced a little bit of variation to the length, like in that last end. He had the mat at the back and threw it. It couldn't have been more than 2 feet over minimum, because it was about 2 feet over the hog line at the far end there.
And the size 7s just keep rolling along in the wind. They're not affected, and that's another bomb by Jerome. Bjornson under pressure here. Really needs a big bowl here. It's in the ballpark too, if you don't mind, and he's played an absolute bomb. He's played a bomb to get the shot there. He really needed that one, by golly, but that's an absolute bomb. I suspect that he'll just be Jerome will just be looking to do a similar shot, perhaps a fraction more weight.
Yeah,
and he has played this with a bit more weight, looking to just grab the jack clean. Ooh, and he just misses it.
Jerome is a skip, and he's looking at the more attacking option there. And certainly, although John made a great shot, if Jerome can move that jack, that could be the first nail in the coffin, so to speak, in this game.
For any fans out there that are looking to meet with athletes, Pat Bird and Derek Dillon fly out on WestJet. It's at 8:30 tonight, and certainly happy to sign any autographs at the airport before we go. Pat, I'm sure you'd be happy to do that for any fans that want to turn up there and say farewell.
I think these 2 players should be the one attracting all the attention. They're really playing a brilliant game here. Jerome looking to play a similar shot with just a little bit less weight, it looks like.
Yeah, he's got a bit less weight, but is it going to turn and miss the jack?
He's got it.
The jack this time.
He has it.
And he just continues to play shot after shot in this game, and he is looking very difficult to beat at this stage. He's just the shots that he needs to play, he's playing. So holding 3 currently. John Bjornson with his last bowl does have a couple of feet to draw the shot. Certainly in this position doesn't want to make sure it's too heavy or whatever, and Bjornson's just about, if it falls over, I think he might have nearly drawn the shot.
He's got it.
So he's gone from 3 down to 1 up. John Bjornson, perhaps, might be a measure.
That was truly a brilliant end.
But a great response from Bjornson under tremendous pressure, because quite frankly, if he had to drop the 3, it looks like he's only 1 down, John. So he was 3 down. If he had to drop the 3 there, then it's just about all over Red Rover, you'd have to say. But I think he just drops the 1 there. So he's Jerome Kirby will go, I believe.
Yeah, 1 black.
6-2 up after 6 ends. We have 3 ends to in this second set of the gold medal game of the 2017 Canadian National Singles Championship against the two protagonists from Winnipeg. John Bjornson, the former winner, and this will be the first national singles title for Jerome Kirby, I believe, if he was to win it. Jerome sticking with the mat up, probably 12 feet from the 2 metre mark, and about a 3/4 length end. Another gust of breeze, as you can probably hear at home and now through the microphones. This is a very gusty, windy place, by golly. I'm not sure I'd be having a holiday here, Pat, but if you're a sailor, it's ideal, I suspect. But there's not too many boats sailing around in Winnipeg. Jerome won't be all that pleased with his first. It's short and a touch narrow. Gives an opportunity for John Bjornson here, if he can. He's playing the backhand. If he can put one right on it here with his first lead bowl, gives him an opportunity to get back into this set. 6-2 down after 6 ends. It's not undoable, but certainly he has the task ahead of him right at this stage.
Yes, he's going to have to score 5 shots in the next 3 ends, so really needs to count in all the remaining ends to have a realistic chance here.
And here we go with the second bowl from Kirby once again, although he's just run through with his second bowl, and John Bjornson's holding 1. So if we have an update for the other games going on in the gold medal ladies game. Jordan Koss is 12-3 up over Mary Wright after 5 ends in the second set. Mary Wright winning the first set. Kevin Dusablon and David James Smith in the bronze medal game for the men are into a tie-break. I think David James Smith won the first set. Kevin Dusablon won the second set, so they're into a tie-break. And Marie Taylor is up 6-4 over Jan Robinson after 7 ends in the second set. Jan Robinson having won the first set. As we have the third bowl from John Bjornson, as appears to be have drawn the shot, if not 2 at this stage, if not 3. So, and this is where Jerome Kirby this week has been devastating. Sometimes with this fourth bowl, with all his skipper experience, of course, as any deficit that he's had, and he's a little concerned, I think, about this one. It's running on. The big size 7 runs on and on and on, and he may in fact have shot maybe. So he's done it again, I suspect, Pat, that fourth bowl is after three very average deliveries. Obviously the fourth one has come in, he may be 3 down, and he's drawn the shot, which of course is what you need to do under those pressure situations, and you can't teach that stuff. You've just got to learn over playing pressure bowls and high competition bowls over a period of time. Bjornson still has an opportunity here playing the backhand. I suspect he's not looking to just draw this one, is he, Pat? If he could come on to the big size 7 and
I'm sure he's looking to rest to try and the head for a multiple. To
try and bump that through. He's trying like hell, but it looks as if he may have just grabbed the jack, and
he's got a small trail for a multiple.
Yeah, I don't know that it's a multiple, is it? He's got 2. Jerome Kirby kicks out 2, and it looks as if it might be a
measure for a third.
A measure for a third. If that's the case, that's exactly what John Bjornson needed, and will certainly be very pleased with that result if he can get it. And I think they're going to call an umpire for that. No, they're not calling an umpire for that. And it was 2 to John Bjornson. So that will make it 6-4 in favour of Jerome Kirby after 7 ends. 2 ends to go in this second set. So the task still ahead of John Bjornson a little bit at this stage, but certainly gets him within 2 with 2 ends to play. This is the last time, well, for some time anyway, the Canadian National Singles Championship will be an open event. Changes next year to qualifying through your province before representing your province in the national singles event, which immediately follows the national championship, which happens to be in Regina for the fours and pairs. Remembering, viewers, there's no triples at the at national championships now, so it will be the fours and pairs for the first part of the week, and then the second part of the week will be the singles. So, which happens to be at Regina. So Pat, Regina in Saskatchewan. So Pat, it's certainly some major changes. Certainly 3-bowl pairs next year rather than 4. If I'm in the pairs again, that could be a little difficulty for me, because I like that 4th bowl to get out of trouble. But certainly some changes, and
yeah, Regina has one of the 3 4-green clubs in the country, and real thriving club. I know there were some concerns about maybe losing that club actually in the media a few months ago, but the club members put on a great presentation at City Council on why that club needs to stay there, and it sounds like it's they're full speed ahead now. So glad to see that.
Yeah. Well, your description of full speed ahead might be a little shaky there, Pat, but they do have some financial issues there. I know, speaking to President Keith Roney, that they in fact they have a 1-year lease currently, so they do have light pylon issues due to rust and whatever. They've had to take down about 1 fell over, and they've taken another 5 down, I believe.
That sounds expensive.
So they still have plenty of challenges ahead, as Bjornson puts one dead close and may in fact be holding from this position at 2, maybe a 3rd, but
Jerome's going to come
Jerome
down and have a
will
look.
come down and have a look after he's only bowled 2 bowls, so he'll certainly he will ask the marker for permission to come down to the head. In all my years of bowling, I've never heard a marker refuse yet.
Just got the indication. It looks like John's holding 3 shots right now.
So no doubt next year, Pat, you'll be looking to certainly qualify in the province for either the fours or the pairs, and then also qualify for the singles. Will be a good solid week of I don't know how many days that could potentially end up. About 10 days, is it, or less, of bowls?
I'm not sure. I know that they were looking at consolidate. About
7
days.
So it's 7 days. Our technical advisor, direct from BCB, is advised to be 7 days.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, definitely looking to, with the fewer bowl formats, like pairs moving to 3-bowl fours. You can play a game in a shorter amount of time, and play an event in a shorter amount of time, and that's going to help keep the accommodation costs down. And I think it's a really good move, as well as with 3-bowl pairs, much more of a draw game.
I wouldn't have expected anything less, Pat. You are the consummate political animal, there's no doubt, as Jerome runs and just misses that, by golly. I think he thought he had that the whole way, and that could have been very close to damn near game over if he had got that. He's still got a bullet in the chamber, so he still has an opportunity here. John Bjornson must be wondering what to do with this 4th bowl. I suspect, Pat, if it's me, I've got to say, and I'm coaching John, at this stage, am I taking the risk and sort of maybe trying for 4, or am I putting one around the back in case he gets the... I think I'm coming around the back in case he gets the jack. At least I only go 1 down and I'm still in with a chance. If I don't do that, and he gets the jack on 3 down, and it's just about all over Red Rover. And once again, Bjornson's done it to me again. He's gone complete opposite to what I suggested. Oh, he tried to tuck that around the corner.
Yeah, he tried to tuck the jack around the corner and just missed.
So Jerome will be looking to either sit a bowl here or grab the jack. The jack's a smaller target than the bowl, so he would love to sit the shot bowl and just stay there.
Yeah, he could do that. He could also come running with the same weight again into that pack, because it is lined up to move the jack.
Yes, for sure. Could do. He appears to be playing the backhand on this occasion and playing with weight. He's on the backhand, playing with weight, and
he's got it out.
And he's going to get the shot. That squirts out to the side. It's spotted on the to-respot rule at these championships. Respotted on the 2 metre mark, which gives Kirby 1 shot. So once again, you know, it's just those few big shots, Pat. And I guess in this game we've seen probably 6. I'm going to say where he was down 3 and draws a shot. He might have been down 3 then, and he squirts the jack to get 1. Just those big shots through this game. I have a feeling we may be reviewing the game at the post-match roundup. That those big shots at Kirby is going to be the difference in this gold medal game.
He's been truly brilliant, and so John's going to need to score all 4 of his bowls here to win the set and prolong the match.
Yeah, that looked like a TSN turning point there, just about over this match, I think. Certainly just those couple of big shots. I'm a little concerned. I have John Bjornson in the Calcutta, so this is costing me money too, Pat. Kirby with his first one, a little high and short, but a couple of feet short there, so Bjornson will be looking for this one to be absolutely all over it if he can, but he appears to be short and narrow. Maybe not that short in the end. It's almost dribbled its way to jack high, but very narrow. Kirby holding the shot. This could be the last end of the 2017 gold medal match, National Singles Championship. I don't know if that's deliberate from Jerome. I can't imagine it is, as he goes into the sand with his second bowl. So Bjornson with an opportunity. Gust of wind makes him step up off the mat again. Very gusty conditions. Bjornson on the backhand, looking for it to draw. It's come around a bit at the end, and it's a little strong, so I'm not sure if that would be the shot or not. No indication from the marker, no question from Jerome Kirby at this stage. Appears to be an umpire wallowing around behind the rink there that Kirby does not like. He can be a very fickle bowler in regard to people being behind the head up on the bank. As Kirby with his third bowl, his second one went into the sand. Kirby just about sit that bowl. I'm not sure if it's the shot bowl or whether the short one is, but John Bjornson needs 4 here, and as I look at the head now, that would appear to be very difficult.
He'll need to make 2 consecutive rush shots, most likely.
Certainly needs to run here, and which he is doing, and take 1 out. He's not really running much at all. He's just about just snuck past it again, and well, he snuck past that one. This makes the target even harder. Those big size 7s are hard to get out of the way at the best of times. Kirby still has a bowl in hand. Bjornson has a bowl in hand. It's kind of insignificant who's shot or not right now, because John Bjornson needs a 4 on the last end here to win the second set. Otherwise the title goes to Jerome Kirby. And at this stage there are 2 big black bowls stopping John Bjornson from getting a 4. There's quite some distance between them. Jerome Kirby with another one here. Now, if I'm coaching here, Pat, I'm certainly looking for something a little wide on the wide side, and just hang out there somewhere, separate from those two bowls that are lined up. But he's sort of a little weighty. He's gone around behind there. I'm not sure what the plan was there, or if that was deliberate. I'm not sure that it was deliberate.
Yeah, really, John's only shot would be to double those two black balls out of the head, and whether that's even possible or not depends on where John's third ball came to, whether it's right behind that black ball or not.
Yeah, I guess from a physics point of view that it is possible, but from a bowl point of view, you know, people at home, Bjornson needs to run at that short black bowl with weight that will then project that black bowl onto the black bowl behind the jack and leave 4 red ones sitting there. Very, very difficult indeed. Mathematically possible, as we've been advised from our technical expert that it is possible. So here we go. This could be the final bowl of the 2017 National Singles Championship. Bjornson must be running at this with some aggression, and he is. He watches it, stands up, misses that, gets one of them, but that will be it. Jerome Kirby is your 2017 National Singles Champion, beating John Bjornson 2-0 to claim the title, and will in fact represent Canada at St John's Park in Australia in November of 2018 in the World Champion of Champions event. That is, of course, unless I call immigration in between time and they don't let him in, Pat. But you know, difficult conditions for the bowlers. I think overall, you know, it was a solid game. I think once again the size 7s of Kirby in this win this week, I think, have really been an advantage. And in this game, as I commented earlier, there's about 6 big bowls that were really big changes that.
Jerome made some huge shots in that game under, you know, trying conditions, and is able to block out all the distractions and the moment, and really just make the shots that he needed to make. And he was brilliant, really, wasn't he?
And it appears to me, looking across the green, that the men's bronze game is over as well, and that David James Smith has won that game. So that will be gold medalist Jerome Kirby, silver medalist John Bjornson, bronze medalist David James Smith, with your 4th placed athlete Kevin Dusablon wrapping up the men's competition here at the 2017 National Singles Championship, live from Norwood Lawn Bowling Club in Winnipeg.